We will not waste any time because we will move into the next session, which is a special session where we have Srimati Jaya Jaitly amidst us, a distinguished Indian politician, cultural advocate, writer, and visionary leader in the promotion of traditional arts and craft. We know Srimati Jaya Jaitly is the founder of Dastakari Heart Samiti. She has worked tirelessly all her life and continues to do so to uplift rural artisans and preserve India's diverse public heritage. A passionate public servant, she has played a key role in our national political life as well as the president of the Samta Party. Her enduring legacy includes celebrated publications and decades of unwavering cultural stewardship. KCC is delighted to welcome amidst us Srimati Jaya Jaitly, and she has her special Gamchha book here, which was formally launched yesterday, but copies are there, and Jayaji will be available for signing the books after her talk.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. This is a big, adventurous exercise. I haven't been much out of Delhi for quite a while. And all the nice things that everybody says, I feel very shy and nervous about it because I can never live up to the expectations of everything that's been said here. It's really kind of you and for you to spend time to come and hear me. When actually I'm not going to be sitting on the stage as a Gyani of any sort. My work in life has just been what has come out of my heart, what I feel should be done. And it's totally organic and instinctive. So all I do is to present my work, which is actually an outcome of a collection of ideas and thoughts which I want to present, which we should engage in our minds, particularly about the craft sector, about handlooms, and about life in general. Because eventually ideas are all about how humanity lives together, and how we have to make space for others, and how in this day and age, a little bit I'm going to touch on technology. I'm not a textile expert at all, so I'm not going to talk about technology in the larger sense, but to say what could face us in the time of major technologies coming in, and the danger of it affecting the craft sector, not only the craft sector, but creativity on the whole. If you really look at it, how are we special? That we are all living beings, those who breathe and have a life. But we are the only ones, separate from all the other living beings, that have a brain, an intellect. And that gives us the sense of creativity. And I'm a strong believer that creativity itself is what gives us freedom. The ultimate freedom is to be able to create with our own minds and our own hands, which validate us as human beings. Why are we here? We have to be some use to society. And if we are to do that, we have to use our own capacities, develop our own capacities. But today, I find that something like artificial intelligence, which is in pages of newspapers and magazines now every day, you meet people who will say it's a wonderful thing that's coming, yes, for the medical sector, for maybe farming, for meteorological information, for a lot of things which are based purely on science, where fact is fact and day is day and night is night. But our creative sector, which is half our brain, which is what gives joy in life. Science gives knowledge, but art gives joy. And that joy today is something we have to preserve not just for ourselves, but to those who give us joy. The karigars, for instance, which is why we have all gathered here. And I saw that film Oppenheimer, which is now on Netflix also, and it makes you think that when the scientists pursued the idea of making a bomb, not to kill people, but as a scientific experiment, which led them towards this path, they never thought that they were doing this to kill millions of people. But once they made it, and once they tested it, And once they succeeded in finding out its strength, it was taken away from their hands by the American military and used to slaughter people as a power game, global power game. I feel that what has resulted from that today is nuclear proliferation theory. I mean, the system by which you say we will not use the bomb, it is a deterrent for each country. But even today, in Russia and Ukraine and all of these, even with Pakistan and India recently, the nuclear word was used to frighten somebody. There are checks, there are regulations, but at least they had to be put in place only after millions of people died. So there is that fear. In the very quiet space, not of physical violence, but I feel for the entire art sector, AI, if we let it loose without any regulation, without any thought and without any study, can do the same. It can wipe out millions of the artists and creative people, not just in India, but all over the world. It may be excessive, what I'm saying, but unless you think of the worst, you can't correct it. And I do believe that I read the other day of one AI system which stopped doing what the operator was commanding. It decided to do what it wanted. So instead of artificial intelligence, it's like an appropriation of our own intelligence. We're worried about Kolhapuri chappal being taken by Prada. What if our minds are taken away by a machine which is based somewhere else in the world? I'm starting scary because I'm going to end not scary. But we have to have this in our mind. And that's why I start by showing this is a very close-up detailed image of a long piece, an art installation we created in Banaras for our art installation project for the Shilpa Gallery in the new parliament. This was called Yatra. You will find out later. But this, we did the whole facade of the actual ghats of the Ganga, 92-inch piece, never made ever before historically, in silk and silver and gold zari. And each building has a different weaving design. Each of those weaving designs have a separate name. And the river, the boats, the ghats, the umbrellas, that tilted building is actually a temple on the ghats, which if you would have seen, actually tilts. We photographed each section of the ghats, then brought it down into a drawing, then made it into a graph, and then the khakas were made. 40,000 khakas were used for this piece. A sari uses about 15,000 maximum. So this was, a whole room had to be kept separate to put all those jacquards, the cards in, to make this piece. And it's quite a spectacular piece, which on the screen, I mean, that the blue is, the black sky is actually a very brilliant, beautiful blue, a night sky. And what I'm saying is that if you call the actual weaver here, he will give you a name for each of those separate little parts which have a different weave. It's a spectacular piece which has no technology other than the jacquard. So I'm trying to say that we have so much technology already for this sector. And earlier they were talking about powerloom and handloom. I'll get to that. But we have to see the progress of technology. It should be in our own hands, be in our weavers' hands, not in the hands of somebody who is actually going to wipe you out. What artificial intelligence will do with this, I have a little example. You might have heard of Prasad Bidappa. He's a very well-known designer in Bangalore. He recently made a sort of a storybook, a graphic image-filled storybook about a young boy being asked to go and look for the wisdom in handloom. So they have cartoons of Pupul Jayakar, Kamala Devi ji, Rukmani Devi, myself, various others who are in this sector who have said something. And there's this child going through with this lovely dog, looking through and getting wisdom. The only very sad thing about it, this whole book has been put together by artificial intelligence. The whole book about handloom goes into somebody else's hand and everything looks unrealistic and strange. So this made me really think that, are we stepping into this without actually looking? And when we look before that, let's see what we already have. So now we go to the next slide. I'm taking you back now from the present glory to what you all know in Bengal, the mat weaving. This is in Midnipur. The very early weaving, of course, used to be only branches and leaves put together. From that, of course, we use grasses of all forms. The important thing for the Indian artisan and for the world to understand is that we need sustainable environment to sustain the artisan. For the artisan, it is a very survival to have the earth flourishing. We can't have forests cut down, fields laid bare for factories and building projects. Because all of them, they are the real climate warriors of today who don't shout like Greta Thunberg, who don't get the UN platform to speak. All of them silently pray to the gods that the rains will come and the grass will grow. Should we not honor them and their livelihoods? So I keep calling out to people like those who organize COP20 and climate change wallahs who sit in Paris and say, who will fund sustainable planet? Fund these livelihoods, you will have your sustainable planet. Next. So these are the processes which are hand technology. Your fingers are the machines. So just keep going through these pictures. Very simple, you know it all. But just taking you through the processes. Next. What I also want to show in this is the community activity. Most work today all around the world is done by people sitting alone in front of a computer and clicking a button that can change the world. But here is community activity, which is another very, very important part of the unity of humanity itself. Every Karigar household that I've seen anywhere in the country, everybody helps the other. Nobody worries about copying a design. Nobody actually worries about copyright. There is no branding except your own regional identity, your own cultural identity. Why do we get so carried away by the word must have a brand? Will each mat weaver have his own name and own brand? It's planting a seed for a fight. That's what I feel. I think these are the qualities in a Karigar, in the Karigar world, that should make us understand why we are on this earth at all. How can we live together without conflict? How can we use the planet integral to our nature and integrating with us? Next. So this is just a process how the mat comes out. But just from cutting the grass from the field and from the roadside, how you produce beautiful things without the need for any great technology. Next. These little instruments are all indigenous, all made by them according to their needs. You will see a lot of the local jugaad. This jugaad is what the Karigar needs. Those people who can understand jugaad are those who could be creating appropriate technology. We fight against all speaking the same language. We fight against everybody having a vote on the same day. We want everything to be different. But when it comes to the application of technology, we want every kind of category of every person in the country to follow that same technology. Today, everybody has to understand QR code. Everybody has to understand online. The poor Karigar who doesn't know how to sign his own name, what QR code? We just topo it on everybody and expect them to catch up. Why can we not say this is our way, let us do it our way? Just the way Tamil Nadu is fighting that they only want to speak Tamil. Next. So the ultimate mats, which you are all familiar with. All of us who love craft will know all these things. I'm not saying anything new. I'm trying to give a new perspective. Next. Now this is very interesting. What you can do when there is some technology. This is called rummy grass and it grows in Meghalaya. They normally use it to make fishing nets, fishing rope, and it grows alongside the water near the fields. They now harvest this grass, put it through these little local simple machines. Next. Then it becomes yarn, then it becomes fiber, and with French technology, from fiber to fashion, here you are, you had this beautiful fashion made out of rummy grass. So there's still a lot of local technology that can go into making pineapple, bamboo, banana, which is all there, but not promoted, not supported, not sustained. Karigars go struggling to get money from the government to put up 10 sheds where he can teach his other weavers to make fabric out of banana. Why do they have to struggle when that is where the solutions for climate change really begin? So this is how the possibilities arise. You can be fashionable in France by taking grass from Meghalaya. And the locals operate it, the locals earn from it, and they can do both their fishing as well as fashion. Next. Now, the progress of the loom itself has been a change in their own technology. First, it was the backstrap loom, then it's the pit loom, and then next, in the household, everybody, the husband would probably be making a basket, the girl would help to stretch, the child would help to stretch the yarn, and as the household goes on, we are able to produce such beautiful fabric. The household work, the community work, keeps people bonded, keeps this cultural heritage alive, and keeps their identity intact. Today, one of the most important issues in the world is identity, keeping your own identity. And those who feel their identity is lost start fighting wars eventually. Next. This is the pit loom with khadi in Ponduru. Ponduru, if anyone has visited, is a fascinating village where we'll see some other pictures. Everybody's doing something. The grandma will be on the veranda spinning. The girl will be making a flower garland for the puja. The mother or father are weaving. And the pure khadi comes out of Ponduru, where the whole village works in community activity. Next. This is, sorry, for a minute going back to Kotpad. Many of the ladies yesterday were wearing beautiful Kotpad saris. But when you see the conditions in which they weave, they should be honored to work at home in better conditions. The next picture will show you. Look at the amount of light he has, only that much light to weave. In Badohi in UP with carpet weaver women, teeny windows, 5 women on a loom, getting 600 rupees a month for a carpet. They do 2 in a month. So 1,200 rupees to maintain a household in which the husband is either drunk or run away or dead. How do they manage that? And then we say, why don't you have bigger windows? They say, because people jump in through the window and steal our material. Why do you have no electricity? Because the upper caste cut our electric line. These are the sort of problems they have. All they want is light, not big technology. But we go for big technology, we don't bother about them, and then we say, okay, now the equivalent of a chat GPT or an AI will suddenly give you this same kapda. And what happens to these people as it is they're on the edge of poverty? Next. This is a next stage is the jacquard loom. After the shuttle, here you have the jacquard loom, and everybody knows about jacquard. You were talking about it earlier. It is a form of technological uplift. The jacquard, as everybody has said, is the basic system of the computer. It's sort of like pixelating a picture and then making cards of it and doing it. So all these technologies have come in naturally, been adopted by people naturally, and are functioning naturally. As I said again, all they need is electricity and a comfortable place to work. Next. The making of the khaka, I'm sure many of you have seen, some may have not. Again, all indigenous technology to make the khaka. I'm particularly interested since our parliament piece had 40,000. You can imagine how much work it took to do that. Next. Again, I'm showing you a lot of local machinery because since the subject of my talk is something about technology, it doesn't have to be something huge and done somewhere else. It can be done with your own hand, with your own understanding, and under your own control. Next. Now this is again interesting. That picture is a istriwala in Ponduru. After weaving the cloth, there are 10 dhobis who will take the cloth, beat it and wash it and soften it. And then it will come to this istriwala, who is that iron weighs 11 kilos. You can imagine the tough work for him. So they themselves, not in Ponduru, Ponduru it's still like that, but here we are in machines that can iron and flatten and smooth and polish. And this is what they use. Again, the technology of this machinery is something that they automatically felt the need and got and use. So what I'm trying to point out is the use of appropriate technology when needed by the people who need it, and not something which is either imposed. But today, this category of people, nobody even bothers to impose. They just appropriate. All the computer designs that are being done now. Tomorrow, as I said, some AI machine will create a design which is just like this. Again, my final question is, what happens to these people and their skills? Next. Now this is back to again Ponduru. Again, community use of space. These are busy streets, but at 5:30, 6 in the morning, as soon as it's light, the weavers and all the neighbors, who may be family members, who may not be, all come out to stretch the warp. So in the early morning, the street is actually a warping space. And they all help each other. It doesn't matter whose order, whose production. Today, your cousins and your neighbors will help you. Tomorrow, they get an order, you help them. So the beauty of not only community living, but community space. And what is needed for this sort of technology. When you have handloom, you have to stretch the warp in this way. You don't have big land like big industrialists do. You don't have huge sheds. You don't have electricity, air conditioning, nothing. But this is how the most beautiful khadi in the world, apart from Bengal, which also does beautiful khadi, is made. Next. This is in Chanderi. I get fascinated. The whole street has become pink. I'd gone to study there, and early morning we went for a walk just to see this. Can you imagine a beautiful silk pink road? Because everybody clears out. On the edge, you have women working, doing other small processes. And this is stretched. I actually called them to Delhi Haat. I said, let the people in the city see what you do with your streets. We muck up our streets. Look what these people do. And after 8 o'clock in the morning, they move out. And then everybody moves around. So they actually came to Delhi Haat with this whole thing, and we stretched out and make Delhi Haat walking spaces into a pink street. But then Delhi tourism, of course, so insensitive. They said, no, you're taking up space that you should pay for, so now roll up. So when you try to educate people, this is what happens. Next. Now this is a nice contrast. This is in Himachal. A gentleman who has this spinning wheel is 200 years old. It's been in his family, and he's today developing lots of very nice fibers, especially woolen fiber from their sheep, for blankets and shawls, all in natural colors. So they're all range from white to gray to light brown to darkish brown, depending on the color of the sheep's wool. So this is one where they're completely traditional in their way. Next. In another family, in the same place, in Kulu, you have women spinning, but sitting on the roof, old men, women. They all work the same way, and this man it's almost like a meditation. He's very happy sitting on top of his roof and spinning. And women sit, they chat, they gossip, and they also spin the yarn. Next. The same family also has these machines which convert the yarn into balls of wool. So how they adopt technology? This is what I'm trying to point out. Next. Now, that same household, Here's a woman working on the loom. Yesterday when we were talking with Sanjay Garg, talking about women not weaving so much. But you'll see here a big contrast. Here's a very traditional woman weaving a beautiful Kulu shawl. And she doesn't mind that, next picture, her same community of women, two of them are sitting and doing the old simple form, and these women are actually operating these machines. So both are possible. All this is in the same family, same establishment. The person is Narottam Ram. He's a national award winner. So progressive that he's put the women onto the machines as well. And they can work like this if they choose to. So I found it very fascinating. In a very traditional village of Kulu, you have a woman doing all kinds of work. And they haven't lost their tradition, but they've welcomed some technology. Next. Also part of their machinery. Looks very complicated, but these are all rural people who've been trained to use them. Next. And the ultimate shawl that comes out is very beautiful. Now here, Mirzapur, this is very interesting. The British, this is a dari making. In the dari making, when we went to Mirzapur to film them, that old thing is a leftover British dyeing machine. Angrezon ka zamana, and it really looks like some old antique grandfather. But, and this is the way they locally dye smaller amounts. So the water heats up there for the dye, and then they also use these local cranking machines. Next. This is the kind of condition the sheds are in which they weave the basic dari. The yarn is stretched with only heavy bricks to pull. Here it's not like set up in a street, but here they have to use minimum space. So there's a contrast between the kind of technology they use and the situation they're in. Next. Next one. This is both the flat way of weaving and the upright. So this is the kind of work they do after the yarn is dyed. And they also have the same graph, but drawings and not the jacquard. Next. These are very interesting processes for the dari. They have a lot of fluff and dhaga that comes out, so they actually use gas to burn at the top. So the threads are all burnt. And I find these very interesting local technology. They're just small things they use. So that gets burnt and then he sweeps it. And next, then they just wash it. Now, if we have a machine doing all these, the story, the history, the generations of learning, all goes away. But we do need technology to make work easier. So whatever there is, so far, with whatever they can do themselves, they make their work easier. But as Gandhiji always said, you can have machines as long as they help you and don't displace you. So that's what we have to seriously think when we see any kind of artisan, especially the weaving community. And we talked about, somebody mentioned earlier talk also, power looms. Everywhere power loom is being discussed. But today, what I'm saying is that power loom has already come. The Karigar themselves use power loom in their own homes. I think that debate is over. When we're having AI staring at our faces, where is power loom? That's nowhere in the argument anymore. Next. These are the sort of beautiful carpets they make after all that dyeing and burning and washing and jhadu maruing. I had taken this weaver to Paris, and this carpet sold for about 2 lakhs over there in 5 days when we had a particular exhibition. Here in Delhi, he would have difficult, 40, 50,000 maybe. Next. Here again, interesting labor saving. Here are these two men with heavy wooden mallets bashing the raw silk sari into shape. Because when it comes off the loom, it's or not flat. And this is their flattening machine, all in the same house with the same kind of people. So I'm talking more machinery than glamorous textile today, but we need to see the background. Next. Now here, this was when I went to Fulia to see the Gamcha weaver, women. And when we went around, this weaver had a power loom. The first time I started thinking about, if they have power loom, who are we to shout? They also bring to the bazaar some power loom, some handloom. And we tell them, why do you bring power loom? This is all bad. You should only have handloom. He says, but handloom is expensive. Customers want cheaper things. So I have to keep both. So when I understood that reality, I said, okay, keep both, but tell an honest truth to the customer. Say it's power loom. Say that's why it costs less. Keep your power loom designs faithful to your identity, to your tradition. Don't start bringing jimmer jammer of Bollywood into it so that it loses where it comes from. Then the Chinese might as well make it tomorrow. So this picture at that time gave me that understanding that if they want it, who are we to fight? The government says, why should we can't put one policeman next to each loom to see that he is not using a power loom. Again, as I keep saying, if we have this reality to face, think about the realities to come, which will mean artificial intelligence in some form or the other, appropriating our capacities. Next. This was when I first came to study the Gamcha. This is how I found them so beautiful. Ordinary camera, ordinary photograph on the street. There was no WhatsApp in those days. But I just found these colors so beautiful. This is what made me think of doing our Gamcha project. That why are these poorest people with the shabbiest conditions wearing such beautiful things and nobody's talking about it? Next. So these are all Gamcha weavers. We had done a project first where we got the Gamcha weaver women who were earning about 60 rupees a day to make saris instead because their looms were wide enough. So they got 180 rupees a day. And therefore we managed to make 100 saris where we gave them the yarn and told them use this any way you like. So 100 saris came out, each one different from the other. And next, here is where we guided them with the colors a little bit, just giving them the mixture of threads, color way rather than a design. Next. And they're weaving the saris that we guided. Next. And at this pop-up sale in Bangalore, I just asked a meeting of ladies like all of you, can you give your home for half a day to do a pop-up sale of Gamcha? 4 of them agreed. We took these 100 saris, and by the last pop-up, I had to take off the sari I was wearing and sell that because everything sold out. I had to go home and say, please let me iron it, I'll give it back to you tomorrow. It was such a success. The women couldn't believe it, that this was what was possible. So these are all the customers grabbing. Next. Now came the whole Gamcha idea, and we started collecting Gamchas from all over the country. You will see quite a lot of Bengal because the most striking in color. But there's Odisha, Assam. Next. These are from other states. There's Kerala, the tortu, which is used every day to dry your hair, to put on your shoulder, to wear it like a lungi. The women, if they're going shopping to the market in their nighty dress, will put a tortu on their shoulder. And this is different, buying the different gamcha, getting the different gamchas from here, of course, Bengal. Each one has a story, each one has the Karnataka gamcha, when a man wears it, people tease him and say, oh, you're trying to pretend that you work very hard and look like a laborer, but actually you are a lazy fellow who doesn't do any work. Lots of beautiful stories like that. Next. So this is what we hope to bring you next year, if all our talks work out. And we do it here. This was the Gamchha exhibition we had in Delhi in March, where Ankon Mitra did this beautiful things. He had 100 gamchas, which he made into beautiful illustrations. So how something that we don't notice when the laborer wears it all covered in dust can look like this. Ankon Mitra. Next. And these were all the gamchas. We collected about 400 gamchas from all over the country. Why I'm saying this in the face of technology is these gamchas have no technology, worn by the poorest of people, 25 uses for each gamcha. I keep thinking in rich people's houses we need 25 kinds of knives to cut 25 different kinds of vegetables. Cheese grater is alag, gajar grater is alag, aloo grater is alag. And this gamcha serves every purpose from carrying your babies to carry your shopping. So these were about, we got 400, but the space allowed us only about 230 gamchas. So we divided them according to states and in a different context, see how beautiful they are. Next. Just some more of those collections. Again, nothing, no technology, no special skill, no grandiose marketing, branding, nothing, but how beautiful they are. So we just need a different way of looking at things. Next. At the bazaar, at the exhibition, we felt that customers in India still don't know that an exhibition piece cannot be just pulled off and bought. An exhibition is not a marketing exercise or a shopping exercise. A lot of those things which we were hanging there and displaying, the customers would take them off, wrap it around them, come to us and say, how much is this? We'd say, please put it back, it's a display. But I had sensed that people would want to buy also. So we set up a little bazaar outside. So we made the gamcha saris, of which I'm wearing one. This was taken straight off the loom. There is no pressing and treating or flattening or polishing, nothing. But this is one of our first gamcha developments we did with the sari, getting them into saris. Then we have trays, coasters, boxes, all using gamcha cloth with glass on top. He does a very good sale of this now. So multi-purpose use of the gamcha. And our garments that we made, nothing was more than 600 to 800 rupees, maximum 1200 rupees. The cloth is inexpensive. It's tough. Multiple uses. And doesn't have to be expensive. If the gamcha itself is such a lowly, cheap material, I don't know why we have to take it high-end. We don't all have to be raw mango. Next. Next. So this is a new thing we did just 10 days ago. After the person on the right carrying the bag is Rajesh Roy. He is a Bengali, actually artist. He paints on terracotta and wood, little earrings, but they don't sell that much in our bazaar. But he has the heart of an artist, as many Bengalis do. So he got together with Arshad. So one is from Bengal and a Hindu, the other is a Muslim from UP. They have, through attending our bazaars over many years, become like brothers. And Rajesh gets the gamcha weavers to weave the sari, the base sari, in Bengal. Those stripes are all woven. He takes it to Arshad, who is actually from a family of very highly qualified wood carvers. They used to make the printing blocks for a very thriving block printing business in Pilakua, which is near Ghaziabad, outside Delhi in UP. Block printing finished because of screen printing. Screen printing is finished because of digital printing. So poor Arshad struggling with his beautiful blocks. And Rajesh got together. Rajesh brings the base sari from Bengal. Arshad set up a printing unit for the use of his blocks. And now they make saris, and we had a little exhibition for 4 days in Delhi just now, called it Tant Mudran. Rajesh designed, Arshad made the blocks and printed. And in 4 days, without any advertising except some Instagram, we did a sale of 5 lakhs in 4 days. Just the two of them, no fancy. We booked the place, we did the accounting, and we put things on Instagram. We took these photos. That's all our help. They did the display, they did the sari designing, they did everything. Look at the empowerment in that. And as you integrate the printing and the weaving, you integrate two communities which otherwise we like to think they're always fighting. That was the silent message in that, but still. Next. So this was the Tantamudran display, which they all did themselves. So how you can take forward handlooms with little local, it's a technology to bring one kind of thing to another, print it. These are all processes. Processes is technology. Next. Now this is interesting. I went to a factory of a good friend in Faridabad. You may have, some of you, seen on Instagram the promotion of the works of Peter Dascoli. He is very well known and exports a lot. So he's a good friend and has been asking me for years to go to see his factory in Faridabad. Now with this technology word in my brain, I thought, let me go and see, because I've had long discussions with him. He does a lot of digital printing. I said, why are you doing that? What is it? So he explained to me that if you want to get a market, you have to make it cost effective. So these are his processes. That's Peter there in the pink shorts. He has excellent embroiderers. So they block print the cloth. The cloth may be handloom. You block print, then you embroider. He does these multiple things. So you have various technologies on one fabric. Next. This is the end of the printed and embroidered piece, and that is a huge machine for digital printing. Now, where we would say, oh, digital printing should not be there, if used responsibly, integrating it with handwork, justifying it for a market which he has, a huge one, among luxury people, it can work. Then we don't need to get agitated about it. Next. This is amazing. Have you all heard of Dr. Shakuntala, that mathematician? Now, this is I'm just showing you the last two pieces of excellence. Dr. Shakuntala's mathematics, which she does on a blackboard, has been here done into an ikat sari by Gajam Govardhan. Just look at it. Other than the ikat process, no technology. The highest mathematics, which is what is used in coding and all of these other things these days, can come onto a handloom and make a fabulously interesting sari, honoring Dr. Shakuntala. That's his normal work, and that's what he can do. So last night I couldn't sleep, and I was thinking, oh, I have this photo on my phone. So I asked my friend Suparna, can we add this to the presentation? So we added it quickly in the morning, and I wanted to show you this because to me this is an amazing thing. Conversion of a blackboard scientists, mathematicians' work into a lovely ikat sari. Yes? Yeah. Now, did we think we could ever do? I mean, when we think of a weaver, we think, oh, poor fellow. He's ignorant, he's unpad, he's all sorts of things. Look at the high quality work. This is worth putting in a museum anywhere in the world. So we have to honor this and realize first, then we can push ourselves out. Next. So, I bring you back to the beginning. The meaning behind this whole piece which we did, the subject was yatra. Why I chose the Ghats of Banaras was not because of Prime Minister Modi. but because the Indian civilization has continued uninterrupted, unbroken from the very beginning. Banaras was established, nobody knows when, and has continued without breaking down from the very beginning. The Ganga has flowed without stop, without drying up from the very beginning, whether it came out of Shiva's locks or wherever. So the idea was, and then the Ghats are also the place where you go for your final journey, the yatra of your life, before you merge with the universe and maybe start your new life if you believe in incarnation. So, being so many different unending yatras, I decided at the end that for today, we'll add the Handloom Yatra also, because Banaras is a very big center for handloom. So we all commit to making the Handloom Yatra a never-ending one. Thank you. I don't know if I've kept timing or not, gone over 1 hour less. You want to ask questions or anything?
If anyone has any questions for Jayaji, we can take a few because she has to go to the airport as well. She's on a tight schedule, but we do have some time and she also has press lined up. So anyone has any questions, she can quickly take it. And if any of you have picked up a copy of her Gamchha book, then she will sign them for you here and then she will move out for her press meet.
Jayaji, you've been excellent. Thank you so much. Just think that Bibi Russell from Bangladesh has been working a lot on Gamchha.
Yes.
And I mean, one of her story talks how she visited the rural people, just like you were talking.
Yes.
So that has also been quite a revelation in the world.
Yes, it has. She's done a wonderful job, especially abroad.
Yeah.
And in fact, for our exhibition, I had telephoned her. She's a good friend. I said, please send some gamchas from there. Yeah. I had one from Cambodia, one from Sri Lanka. So I thought maybe I'll have some international gamchas as well. Poor thing, she said, in the situation between Bangladesh and India now is I can't go and talk to an Indian. I can't go to the Indian embassy. I don't know how to send you. So I said, try and send it through France. My son lives there. Send it to France. He'll bring it to me. But she couldn't do it in time.
But I've seen she'd made lovely jewelry also out of Gamchha.
She's very creative.
She's very, very
She's
creative.
very good at that, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Then I would request you, those who want to get their book signed by Jayaji, she can just do it right here instead of requesting her to move around. And we could, those who are here for the round table, we could move to the studio space and start proceedings. I'm sorry for the delay, but we would like to begin now. And I know those of you who have been with us from the morning and are part of the round table, refreshments are organized for you right there. So we can just migrate to the studio space.